What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with MMA community reacts to Dana White's UFC Mount Rushmore. Dana White has recently been the subject of widespread jokes throughout the MMA community as he continues to argue Jon Jones' case as the active pound-for-pound king. Amid the jokes surrounding White's praise of Jones, he was asked which fighters he would put on his UFC Mount Rushmore, leaning into the jokes about his defense of Jon Jones while revealing, quote, "Gotta go with Jon Jones. You have to go with Ronda Rousey. Women would not be fighting in the UFC if it wasn't for her. You would have to put GSP in there, and absolutely positively Conor McGregor. He elevated and changed the game globally." Given that White notably left out fighters such as Jose Aldo, Demetrius Johnson, Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, and Khabib Nurmagomedov to name just a few UFC legends, the MMA world was quick to weigh in, debating White's UFC Mount Rushmore. As one wrote, "Effing terrible list." Another pointed out basically the ones who made him the most money. One fan wrote, "How do you not have DJ, Khabib, and other fighters?" One member of the MMA community defended White. "Anyone complaining about this list has no idea what a Mount Rushmore list is. All these fighters changed the game, and in popularity, they had a huge impact on the growth of the sport." Another argued against both Jones and McGregor. When does character come into play? Jones and McGregor both physically women probably still do. Jones was juiced. Conor and Jones both enjoy booger sugar. Do you throw all that out? One argued Khabib Nurmagomedov's case, writing, "Dana's a freaking joke. Khabib is the one who really changed the game and showed the world how effective his grappling and wrestling is in MMA, much more than striking. Dana is biased and very unfair." Another member of the MMA community defended Ronda Rousey, writing, "I can see why people are mad at Ronda being on there, but let's not act like her run wasn't crazy. She never had a boring fight. Whereas today, it's a running joke. When the girls are fighting, it's bathroom break time." With Fight Week underway for UFC 306, it'll be interesting to see if any of the fighters on the card are asked for their UFC Mount Rushmores throughout their Fight Week media obligations. Next up, let's take a look at Movsar Evloev response to Aljamain Sterling's PED allegations. Leading up to their highly anticipated clash at UFC 307, Aljamain Sterling has continued to hurl accusations at Movsar Evloev, accusing the undefeated contender of using PEDs. With fight night rapidly approaching on October 5th, Evloev has once again fired back at the former bantamweight champion, this time in an interview with MMA Fighting, where he said, quote, "I don't know what's the point of this, but I don't care. We have doping control here, and I'm always clean. I'm happy being in the UFC because I know there's good doping control, and I can be confident to know that my opponent also does a doping test. So if you talk without proof, you know, where I'm from, girls talk like that, men don't talk like that, and yeah, I can't wait to beat his ass." Sterling and Evloev then got into a back and forth on social media after Sterling brought up the illegal knee Peter Yan landed on him back in 2021. After a fan told Sterling to stop hating on Yan, the former champion responded, writing, "I'm breaking balls. I like Yan when we aren't signed to fight each other. Definitely like him more than Movsar." Evloev then responded to Sterling, writing, "You stole his title by acting. #Oscar, #actor." Sterling then fired back, writing, "Yes, illegal knees that you don't see to the temple turned me into an actor. Makes perfect sense. Still more belts than you, bruv." Evloev also shared his prediction for the fight in the aforementioned MMA Fighting interview, saying, quote, "They need finishes, so I can give them finishes next fight. I'll finish Sterling in first round. Doesn't matter on the ground, striking. Now I'm looking for this, so check my words." With the potential title fight on the line, the stakes couldn't be higher for both fighters heading into UFC 307. Next, let's take a look at Merab walks away in the middle of an interview. After defeating Corey Sandhagen in Abu Dhabi, Umar Nurmagomedov was named the #1 contender at bantamweight, setting the undefeated contender up for a fight with the winner of the upcoming Sean O'Malley-Merab Dvalishvili title fight. Despite that, Dvalishvili has made it clear that he doesn't believe Nurmagomedov has done enough to warrant a crack at the belt. On Monday, ahead of Dvalishvili's UFC 306 fight on Saturday, Red Corner MMA dropped previously unreleased footage from an August interview with The Machine, where he walked off when asked whether Nurmagomedov deserved a potential title shot. First, he explained while discussing the bantamweight title picture, quote, "Why it will be Umar Nurmagomedov, why it's not Figueiredo, why? Because Umar says UFC told me, so man, I don't trust this guy." When he was asked whether or not he believed Nurmagomedov deserved the title shot, Dvalishvili got up and walked away, bringing the interview to an abrupt end. On Monday, Nurmagomedov's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, weighed in on the bantamweight title picture, writing, "Umar Nurmagomedov will be cage side at the Sphere. He will fight the winner of the main event. If Dvalishvili winds up winning Saturday's fight, it sounds as though a heated stare down could follow if the UFC brings Nurmagomedov into the cage for a stare down." Next up, let's take a look at UFC updates. With UFC 306 right around the corner, let's take a look at today's UFC updates, starting with a clash between longtime UFC veterans Tim Means and Court McGee. who will throw down in a welterweight bout at UFC 307 on October 5th. Means will look to return to the win column after a first-round loss to Uros Medic back in April, while McGee will look to snap a 3-fight skid that most recently saw him drop a decision to Alex Morono back in April. Next up, we have a bantamweight clash between Ricky Turcios and Bernardo Sopai set for UFC Vegas 100 on November 9th. Turcios will look to bounce back from a loss back in June to Raul Rosas Jr., while Sopai will look to bounce back from a third-round finish at the hands of Vinicius Oliveira back in March. Last but not least, on Saturday, EA Sports will be adding the Sphere as a playable venue in EA Sports UFC 5. In a post on social media, EA announced that after Saturday's UFC 306 event, the Sphere and accompanying Riyadh Season Noche UFC graphics will be added in-game. Next, let's take a look at Robert Whittaker demands title fight after Khamzat. Robert Whittaker's recent victory over Ikram Aliskerov back in June put the Reaper just shy of the next crack at the middleweight title. While many fans wanted to see Whittaker and Sean Strickland throw down for the #1 contender spot, Strickland made it clear that he wouldn't accept anything but a title fight. Instead, the UFC booked Whittaker a title eliminator against Khamzat Chimaev, while naming Strickland as the #1 contender at 185 pounds. Now, ahead of Whittaker's UFC 308 fight with Khamzat, the former champion spoke about the middleweight title picture, making it clear that a win over Khamzat would make his case for a title shot undeniable. In an interview with Submission Radio, he explained, quote, "I beat Chimaev. I'm fighting for the belt next. Like, that's it. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I just gotta make sure that I put all the chips and I cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and get to Abu Dhabi on top of my game." The current odds for the Whittaker-Chimaev fight on FanDuel have the former champion sitting as a slight underdog with plus 136 odds, while Chimaev is a negative 174 favorite. Next up, let's take a look at Ciryl Gane sparring with an NBA player. After a year off, Ciryl Gane is set to return to action at UFC 308, where he'll take on Alexander Volkov in a highly anticipated clash of strikers. Ahead of the bout, Gane was seen sparring with Minnesota Timberwolves center and 4-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Gobert, who revealed back in 2018 that it was boxing, not basketball, that was his first love, is listed as 7'1" on NBA.com and reportedly weighs in at 258 pounds, which would make him eligible to compete in the UFC's heavyweight division. Although Gobert won't be making a jump to MMA, the big man recently got some boxing rounds in with fellow French star Ciryl Gane at the MMA Factory in France. While Gane is preparing for his UFC 308 clash with Alexander Volkov on October 26, Gobert is currently preparing for the start of the 2024-25 NBA season, which will tip off just a few days before on October 22nd for the 3-time All-Star and the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the case of the Gane-Volkov fight, the former interim champion is sitting as a negative 265 favorite on FanDuel. Meanwhile, Volkov, who is in the midst of a 4-fight win streak, is a plus 200 underdog. Next, let's take a look at Sean O'Malley trolls Henry Cejudo on his podcast. Despite the fact that Sean O'Malley and Henry Cejudo have not had the chance to share the octagon, there's certainly no love lost between the pair. The two have been going back and forth for over a year now, and although Cejudo is outside of the top 5 at bantamweight, it doesn't seem as though the beef is over and done with. Leading up to UFC 306, O'Malley made an appearance on Cejudo and Kamaru Usman's Pound for Pound podcast, where he gave Usman his props for trolling Cejudo and making an abrupt exit.
Boys, you guys know I'm a very, very busy man. I'll keep this short. I came here for 2 reasons. 1, to praise you, Kamaru. You're an absolute legend. And 2, Henry, how'd you let Aljo take you down so easy? You're welcome!
O'Malley then spoke about the moment on Monday's episode of the Timbo Sugar Show before the clip was released.
I did Henry Kamaru pod. They kept asking, not them, their team kept asking our team, like, hey, we gotta do the pod, And I was like, no. I was like, you know what? I'll do the pod. I get on the pod. Kamaru's a legend. I like Kamaru a lot. It's his face on there. I'm on there. I'm wearing my suit. I'm sitting right here like this. So we go live. They say, introduce it, blah, blah, blah. I said, boys, I don't know if they're going to release it or not. So whatever I said, you guys will find out if they do. I said, boys, I'm a busy man. I'm here for 2 things. 1, Kamaru Usman, you're a legend. 2, Henry, how'd you let Aljo take you down so easy? You're welcome. And then flip my phone upside down.
While Cejudo isn't retired, he revealed in August that he's currently deciding between another fight at 135 or a return to flyweight. Depending on what he decides, it sounds as though a fight with O'Malley could wind up being off the table. Concerns rise for Sean O'Malley as he could be reportedly injured ahead of his fight at UFC 306 against Merab. Henry Cejudo revealed on a recent podcast that Sean is struggling to get off of his back when taken to the ground. O'Malley was dealing with a rib injury for an extended period of time, and fans are now concerned that O'Malley never fully recovered. Here's what Henry Cejudo had to say.
I know that Merab is going to get this win. I know a little bit of O'Malley's fight camp and how it's been going, and I think he's back. I think the fight between me and Sean O'Malley, Ronald McDonald makes a lot of sense, dude. But that being said, he doesn't know how to get off of bottom. He's having trouble. I've had training partners. I have 3 training partners that have gone out there. That's all told me the same. You know, that's what happens when you live in the same city. Is people know other people that will say. But that being said, dude, I think it's a match made in heaven for a guy like Merab. He just needs to be careful in those 2 rounds. And as the fight goes on, I could see Muradovas really taking him out.
Fans are speculating that Henry is spreading false news since Sean went on his podcast and trolled him earlier in the day. He's just salty O'Malley punked him on his own podcast, LMAO. Henry's shifting the betting odds on this one. Lucky for him, the only thing Merab's doing the whole fight is failing takedowns. Just spreading lies because he's a hater and got trolled by Sean. He hates that he's always wrong about Sean. Dana White reacts to Islam Makhachev's injury and says that there won't be an interim title and he will wait until next year to fight.
Weight champion Islam Makhachev's next title defense could be delayed due to injury. Are you considering an interim title fight for Arman Tsarukyan at any point? And what do you have planned next for the number 2 ranked Armenian?
Yeah, Islam's fought so many times and is always willing to jump up and take a fight. So no, there won't be an interim title. When he's ready to go, we'll go. We have plans. We're looking at it right now on when he would fight.
How about for Tsarukyan? Would it be against Tsarukyan?
He's the number 1 contender.
So against Tsarukyan, December 7th still likely or no?
I don't know. We're working on it.
Top comments. Perfect response from DDP. Khamzat needs to fight before he opens his mouth. Dana talked ish to DJ for years, and now he's saying he's always supported him. Sean's last 5 fights were nightmare matchups.